Let's continue chapter 28 with section 3. The multiplier equation is an equation that tells us that income equals the multiplier times autonomous expenditures. So we can rewrite this out as y equals multiplier times autonomous expenditures. So mathematically, that's what we're trying to do. And really, this is why we call this the multiplier model, because we want to define what this multiplier is. Expenditures multiplier is a number that tells us how much income will change in response to a change in autonomous expenditure. And generally their model is 1 over 1 minus the marginal propensity to expend. So a numerical example might be, let's say marginal propensity to expend is 0.8. Well, then 1 minus 0.8 would be 0.2, 1 over 0.2 would be 5, and so if autonomous expenditure was, say, 500, we would take that times 5 and end up with 2,500 to figure out, and really this should be more correctly say changes in autonomous expenditure. So if we had a 500 change in autonomous expenditure, overall expenditure would change by 5 times that amount, or 2,500. So let's look at the multiplier process. So at income level A and B, all right, we're either here or here. The equilibrium, we're in disequilibrium. This is our equilibrium point right here where our yellow circle is. And what we want to do is we want to see, well, what happens when we're off of that equilibrium? At A, firms decrease planned production, leading to lower income and decreased expenditure until the economy reaches equilibrium. So we're here at A, we're producing more than what we want to buy. And because we're producing more than what we want to buy, what happens? Inventories increase. When inventories increase, businesses want to produce less, and that brings our income down to equilibrium. At B, on the other hand, we want to buy more than we're producing, so inventories decrease, and when inventories decrease, businesses say, hey, wait a minute, I can sell more, I better produce more so that I can make more money, and they'll produce more, and income goes up. So let's look a little bit at the intuition behind this. So let's go back to our circular flow model. In equilibrium, the economy requires the withdrawals from the spending stream to equal the injections. So leakages equal injections is another way to think about that. So aggregate income flows from businesses to households. All right. So we have production, we have consumption here. Notice this is a very simplified circular flow model. Then aggregate expenditure flows from the households back to the businesses. So if we're in equilibrium, these two things need to be equal to one another. So the flow of income back to households needs to equal the flow of expenditure back to businesses. And if they aren't equal, then the economy will be either expanding or contracting. Okay, so if this aggregate expenditure is greater than the aggregate income, well, we'll see more and more production being desired, which will then in turn cause businesses to want to produce more, which means we'll have more aggregate income. If aggregate income is greater than aggregate expenditure, businesses will want to reduce their production, reducing aggregate income down to the level of aggregate expenditure.